to Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And as we explore the wonderful world of multiple cameras, folks, it is lovely to be here with you as always, trying to fix our ever-present or occasionally present camera problem. And right now we're discovering if it's possible. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a change. That's different than what we saw a second ago. Okay, well apparently that's happening. So let's see if we can transition out of that. So, thought we could fix the camera. Maybe not, maybe so. We'll find out in a minute. Okay, so folks, great to have you here. Glad you're here. Glad we're all hanging, having a good time. Apparently we can't get anything but a frozen picture. That's it's impressive. This is it's a beautiful frozen picture, but it's just not going to work. I think it's a little bit too. Oh, sorry. And we have the drilling. What a lovely combination, folks. So it's up to you. We either have a weird camera or we have ourselves a frozen camera. So those are our choices. That's our menu of options today. Let's go with the weird camera. How about that? So let's see if we can fix the weird camera so it's a little less weird. And we'll go from there. Not so bad. Not terrible. We have Raquel meditating over here on the side with the dog, just for fun. I'm sure that's what Raquel signed up for when she decided to meditate, was to be on the live stream itself. Folks, great to be here with you. Let's jump right in. Folks, what on earth is your location and what are you feeling today? What's your gratitude? Happy to be here with you today. I am located, where am I located? Okay, that's where I'm located. And what am I grateful for? Grateful for modern heating, folks. Good to see you here. Black Skulls Martin, also known as Denny, says hello from Harlem. Oh, I think you're back from your trip. You were on a trip. Let's see. Thankful for my meditation practice. Today is 30 consecutive days of daily meditation. Lovely. Congratulations. That's so nice. I'm close to, well, I'm probably like in the 18 or maybe 20 range of, probably close to 20 days of continuous meditation that is this new specific routine that I have that I'm doing each morning. So that is, I meditate throughout the day, but I'm sort of adding this new thing. So I'm counting those days. Our friend the drill is back. So let's see here. How loud is this drill coming in? Damn. Sorry, folks. This is going to come now and then today because this is sort of just the nature of apparently when we're under construction. So forgiveness, but we will work it into the meditation so it won't be too disruptive, or the disruption will actually be very useful. That's the key. Okay. Can this thing tilt slightly so it's not quite so crooked? I see. You know what it is, what it is. It is what it is. Okay, maybe this version. I just thought I was so close to getting the camera resolved today, and then here we are. Okay, so the point is here, Jean joining us from Brooklyn. Good to see you again, Jean. Just talked to you yesterday morning. Grateful for a beautiful, bright day. I haven't been outside. Oh, wait, no. I walked the dog, so I have been outside. It is beautiful and bright. Let's see here. Okay, I need a new audio interface thing, because every time I turn the mic off and then back on, it just turns the whole thing off. So I'm trying to save you a little bit of this. Maybe I'll just mute on the live stream itself. Okay, so let's see here. Julia says, turning in from Vienna, Austria. I'm grateful for advice on overwhelm you gave me a few weeks ago. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that was helpful. And also for MAPS progress in making MDMA medicine. Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate those guys. Those guys are working hard to help people, and I appreciate that. Experimental drone music. I know exactly. It's funny because I'm sort of into experimental drone music, and this is very atonal. Julie says the drill is just nature. That's exactly true. And what we'll probably do, because it usually happens once every 15 minutes for like a second, and now it's like really, really ramping up. I think they saw that the stream was going live, so they were like, okay, we gotta really serenade these folks. So what that means is that beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop. What does it mean? Oh, what it means is that we are going to use the grinding, drilling as part of our meditation. And you're exactly right, Julia. And this works for lots of different things, including overwhelm or various parts of our practice. I'm going to get the mic closer so I'm louder and the drilling is quieter. But now I have to whisper. Am I audible when it's going, or should I just not talk? I'm happy to just, you guys tell me, because I can't tell which is better. My instinct is to just not talk, but maybe the fact is it's actually better if I just talk right over it. So tool making is natural, and the drill is just nature. And so what we're actually going to pay attention to is not the drilling sound itself, but the body's response to the drilling sound, and trying to really accept the response. So if the response is like, ugh, negative, that's actually fine. We're going to accept that the system is responding negatively, or if it's whatever it is, it's just often the system will sort of push it away. We can still hear you. So I know you can still hear me, but is it so annoying that it's worth just waiting? That's what I want to know, because I bet you could hear me over it, but is it audible and you can make out the words and it's sort of easy enough to listen to? Because I can just talk right over it, but I just don't know if it'd be preferable if I wait. Welcome, Nate. Great to see you here. Welcome, Brian. Welcome, guys. You exposed yourselves as being present, so I'm curious where you are located and one thing you're grateful for today. That's what I'm going to... I was grateful for modern heating, but suddenly I'm grateful for modern plastics. These things. Look at this rubbery sound-making thing. This is designed so my dog can play fetch and still breathe, because it's the whole size of her mouth, so if it's in there, but she can breathe right through it. Okay, so you guys tell me whether I should talk. And again, if you're just joining us, we have a little building construction, but it's not going to bother our meditation. In fact, it'll be music to our ears, or at least it'll be something we can use. And it's actually good, because in light we think like, oh, meditation, quiet, calm, and then life challenging. How do I bridge the gap? Well, one of the central ways that we bridge the gap is in meditation, using things that are challenging, in this case, the drilling that will occasionally appear, and using that as a mechanism to hone our skills, our meditation skills. Brian says, I'm grateful for the grateful for the great weather on my day off. That is awesome. I'm glad you're here with us on the day off. Okay, so I'm going to talk over the drilling, and hopefully that's fine. Hopefully it doesn't bother anybody. It does increase the overall volume, so I'll have to talk a little quieter, because it will peak if I speak at a normal speaking voice, because sound is additive. Okay, so folks, finding a nice comfortable position. We're going to meditate for 25 minutes. Zen Mind says, how can someone with health problems meditate? Oh, excellent. Okay, couple. I think that's a question, general question. Maybe it's for the meditation itself. So actually what I just described a minute ago is one of my top recommendations, and I'll give you a full spectrum of recommendations. But one of them is to equanimize the reaction, equanimize the part of us that's pushing against the sound, for instance. Like right now you can do it instead of doing it theoretically. When that sound comes on, even though I sort of accept that it's there, I can talk over it, I can, sort of ignore it. There is part of the system that goes like, ugh, don't like, especially because the sound isn't very like harmonious in some way. It's sort of atonal. So, or dystonic, or I forget exactly what the word I'm looking for is. Someone here who knows music will tell me. Atonal maybe, but anyway. So part of the system can just accept it, but often part of the system sort of is like, ugh. So if we can accept that part that is like yuck and say, yeah, that's natural, of course the system will respond that way. Often it'll deconstruct the difficulty that we're having. So instead of responding to the thing, we respond to the reaction to the thing, which is actually where most of the suffering comes from. So that's one way, one strategy for someone who has sickness or medical problems to work with those difficulties. However, I want to encourage a bigger strategy or a bigger set of strategies. And if somebody doesn't mind pulling up the home practice program website. So if you search Shinzen and home practice program, they'll give a website. Shinzen is leading a set of retreats. He does this every month. I encourage everybody to sign up for these. Very, very awesome. Once a month he does these, set of 4-hour retreats. And I just saw that this month, the coming set is working, one of the sections, the 4-hour sections, is working with pain. Thank you very much, Denny. I really appreciate you including that link. If you go there and sign up for the email list, you can sign up for the home practice program. And it's basically this situation like we have here, but it's Shinzen and there's no video. And you can ask him any questions you want. And often at the beginning, when people start asking questions, everyone's a little shy. So if you really have a question, right when the question and answer period comes on, you just jump in and Shinzen will answer your question for 30 minutes or a long time and answer it in ways you didn't even imagine you could have a question. So that's lovely. Nate from West Virginia, grateful for the work I put in and my body's ability to stay healthy, to be able to run anytime I want. That is lovely. I've been thinking about, I ran, basically, whenever you run here, you're running on cement. It's just like, that's just what it is. So I've been thinking about starting to run with a dog because she can finally track. She used to just not be able to. She'd go everywhere and it's like a whole big pain. But she finally can. So I was thinking about starting again and running with her just for exercise for me and exercise for her. And, doing whatever stretching and fitness I need to make my body be less intensely affected by the pounding experience of running. Karlstad, Sweden, bit sick, so joining from bed. Aw, Nick, I'm so sorry to hear you're not feeling well. Grateful for experiencing the freedom and ability to inevitability of this. Talk over. So hopefully you're feeling not too terribly sick. Hopefully you don't have COVID, but if you do, we're with you. And we'll practice around that. We'll work with that. Zen Mind says, can we do a multi-dimensional awareness meditation? Multi-dimensional awareness meditation. So that could mean a bunch of different things, but let me think for a second if that makes any sense with what we're planning on doing today. I had the idea, what did I call today's stream? I remember. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is not going to be multi-dimensional, although maybe we could count each of these little sections as dimensional, but it will be an awareness-based meditation. So hopefully that is satisfying. And I'm not sure if you mean like like a dynamic or a wide spectrum awareness meditation, or you literally mean like attending to dimensions that we don't necessarily have access to. I don't know about that. So folks, finding a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. So if you're new here, we're going to be meditating for 25 minutes. If that sounds impossible, trust me, it is not. 25 minutes will pass either way if you meditate or not. So my general stance is might as well do the actual practice and get the benefits. There is truly and only one way in this world to get all of the benefits that are offered by meditation. And that, my friends, is to meditate. You can actually see my wife right here meditating as we speak, with the dog on the lap, the nice dog on the lap system. So let's see. I'm going to encourage you to keep your body still for the duration of the sit. The way we do this is by arranging the body well, using as little muscle power as possible, making it so that the body is just relying on stacked bone rather than muscles holding us up straight in some way. One of the key ways is to make sure the knees are lower than the hips. When I tell people this, I think maybe they don't understand what I mean, but I mean literally that the knee to hip ratio is one is higher, clearly higher, and this allows the tailbone to tip forward just slightly, as though if it were a cup it would be spilling just slightly forward, and then this allows the lower spine to just roundly sort of balance on its own, finding a balance point through the crown of the head. So folks, find that nice position, and when you're ready we will begin. And as we begin to practice, just remembering here that the drilling will occur, just going to happen, and attend and notice the body's response. How does the body light up or interact with that experience, and seeing if we can physically relax when those times arise, when the body responds in some way, or just see that response as natural. Of course, the body's responding in this way. Okay, we will begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. And as we notice the rising and falling of the body, as the breath comes and goes, just tuning into these particular sensations. The bubbling, effervescent quality of body sensation related to breathing, the heaviness of gravity as it pulls the body back down. And perhaps noticing that the more we physically relax, the more easily we can detect subtle sensations of the breath in the body. And sweeping through the body to be sure we're not holding any undue tension. Relaxing the major muscle groups in the body. Relaxing the head and shoulders. The arms and hands. And the hands spend so much time gripping during the day. Looking for the very subtle experience of de-gripping. Relaxing the torso, and especially below the belly, down to the tailbone. If we can, relaxing the hips deeply enough that it actually causes the legs to relax. As though we were releasing the hip bones from the hips themselves. And relaxing the legs. And now relaxing the entire body as one large collection of sense data. So much of our experience of the body is actually subtle gripping. So physically relaxing more than you can physically feel. There is subtle gripping that occurs even below the floor of consciousness. So even if you think that you're done relaxing, see if you can let go more deeply. And for a little while, this will be the practice. Staying with the overall experience of the body. So this requires that we use part of the mind that's not naturally zoomed in. It's the part that gets an overall capture, like a soft peripheral view. Staying with this overall experience of the body, and at times the mind will be drawn to specific areas. Whenever that happens, physically relaxing that area, seeing if we can let go. Perhaps noticing that as we let go more deeply, we no longer need to contain the edge of the body. We no longer need to imagine that these sensations are constrained within the sense of where the body should be. These senses can relax and spread open. So we're noticing any place that the body is holding on. And perhaps recognizing that that gripping, the holding on itself is natural. It's not bad. And then physically letting go. And of course, at times we'll drift or get distracted. And this too is natural. So we simply come back to the experience of the body. Notice any place that on its own is naturally tightening or gripping. And then physically releasing this. Noticing, do we prefer the experience of the gripping or the experience of the letting go? And notice too that this process of gripping, of tightening, is also occurring in the mind. The mind will wrap itself around specific thoughts, other sensations unrelated to the body. Interpretations, assessments. Maybe the mind is assessing if this is going well or it's going terribly. So each time we notice the mind doing this, in the same way we had been doing with the body, we're just going to relax the mind, allowing it to take in more data, to soften in the same way we soften the body. So at this stage, we're allowing awareness to expand to include everything, all of our senses. We don't need to reach out to grab whatever we imagine might be outside of awareness. Whatever we're aware of is enough. And when we notice any gripping, the mind grabbing on to any sensation, we simply introduce that localized particle to the overall experience, recognizing that the gripping is natural. This is part of the nature of having a human body mind. The mind will grip and organize our experience. Noticing that our experience is organized. Each moment is a constellation of different sensations. This constellation collapses or dissolves, and we're shown a new constellation. Different sense data in a different shape. The mind tells us that all of these different momentary shapes overlap to create a solid self and world. The mind makes a story. It puts us as the central character in this story. And often without asking us, our instincts set us to defend or fight for this self, this story. And we experience the world as conflict. All sorts of little things occur that feel like they interrupt or push against our narrative, how it should be. In meditation, we see these and call them distraction, as though there shouldn't be distraction. But even if something's uncomfortable or annoying, there's nothing we can experience in this moment that shouldn't be. Even if part of us doesn't like it, even the not liking is fine. And so noticing the system's response. Knowing that not liking is nature too. We might not like a particular sensation, sound, an emotion, but that doesn't mean we have to do something. We have to grip and change this shape of reality. And we can make an adjustment, but the freedom comes in deeply seeing that we don't have to. The world doesn't need us to intervene just because something's uncomfortable or unwanted. And seeing in this moment the part of us that doesn't need anything to be different. This kind awareness, this true self. And this true self can hold the part of us that does need and want things to be different. The part that needs, the part that yearns. This part can feel so tired, always wanting. And we can ask that part if it would like a rest. Seeing if we can allow it to rest in this kind awareness. And staying with the practice. staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting the spaciousness of seeing show us how we might expand this awareness. And letting this spacious awareness be our home, a place we can rely on and return to over and over. And in this way, allowing this particular moment to be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. Welcome back, folks. This here, if you don't know, is my wife, Raquel. She is on her phone, checking out what's happening in the world. So making any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. And breaking out your digital technology and using those digits to type in, what was that experience like, what happened, and what do you like now? And if anyone has any questions for Raquel, that'll probably be an interesting response. Different than mine, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah, what was that experience like? What happened and what do you like now? And also, we want to, let's try this version. That's our Discord. I'll follow that link myself and see what happens. Where does it put us? Continue to Discord. Yes. I forget where this link actually drives people. Sign in. Are you high? I am myself. Why do I have to? Okay, fine. That's weird. Okay, signing in. Okay. So, folks, what was that experience like? What happened and what do you like now? Signs us in. Okay, so where does this puts us in? As far as Discord, this sticks us in the welcome area. That's where that puts us. Okay. Welcome. Hey, welcome, it says. Let me see. Oh, it gives instructions on how to deal with Discord. Okay, so maybe we'll change this. Maybe we'll make the new link for Discord go right to the voice channel. Look who we got. We got ourselves a little visitor. It's Sela. Hi. I feel like the whole thing, like you look more and more like your dog. I feel like Sela's eyes look like my eyes in a way. They look very human. It's okay. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Okay. Now, talk to everybody. Use your talk. She talks all the time. She just gets shy when she comes on the stream. So she talks all the time. She's talking all about this, all sorts of stuff. She has a book of stickers that she like puts things into, and she like draws pictures, and she likes to do crafts. She's a big crafter, but she talks about it all the time. And as soon as she comes on the channel, she's like very shy, and like, oh, I'm shy. I don't know where to sit, and I'm uncomfortable. But just go ahead, Sela. Just tell us about your craft book, your new craft book that you're making. She's just shy. Okay, come on, little lady. See, I like to bother her. I feel like it's such a fun gag. It's like bother the dog, but I don't know if she likes that. Okay, let's see if I can read this. I can't use the computer reading thing because I need both hands, and I need both hands to hold the dog if I'm going to keep her still. Denny says, really enjoyed that sit, getting a better handle on observing and feeling the contents of my thoughts without overly identifying with them. Excellent. / causing them to collapse into specific thoughts and grip one's attention. That's great. And partially it's noticing that happens over and over and over again, coming back to the overall experience, letting that experience dissolve. That can be very powerful. And that's really that's the whole game. That's the whole game we're playing. What's up, Sela? Okay. Yeah, what else? What else is going on for folks? What is new? What's happening? It's Wacky Wednesday. It is our... Wait, you know what? I realize that I was just mistaken. I was going to do a thing, and now I'm the thing. Oh my God. I realize this is our last live stream of the year of 2020. The categorically worst year in my life that I know of. I didn't have it wasn't like the most painful year of my life, but it was certainly like the sort of like historically or like experientially worst for sure. And I think I'm thinking more like globally. We have a new subscriber. Denny, thank you so much for subscribing. That's very kind of you for subscribing. Sela appreciates it. Sela wants to give you a kiss. This is how she makes love. She's so cute. I just want to sit around and snuggle with her. I wonder if that would be a good channel. Just me snuggling with the dog as she squirms around. Okay, Denny, thank you so much for the subscription. She is such a cutie. Absolutely. Okay, so here we have some more reports. Okay, let's jump into the computer reading. So, because I'll like crumble through it. Let's go here. Let's go. Okay. Jean says, beep up, beep up. All right, what is Jean says? Isn't that a Jane's Addiction song? Okay, here we go.
That wasn't particularly momentous for me today. No huge revelations, distractions, or emotions. But it felt brief and pleasant, and as usually happens, I feel more focused and calmer afterward. The part that always needs something to change was happy to be asked to take a rest.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's something that is really helpful in parts work, and generally if we can tap into the system. Not only does it give that part of us a chance to rest, but it also disidentifies us with that part, because we say, hey, do you want to take a break? And if we're in the part, if we're identified with it, we can't. We're like, no, I have to keep going. But often if we ask the part like, hey, would you like to take a break? You can imagine a different experience where it's not like trying so hard, it's not forcing everything. So that is excellent. Julia now says,
my awareness continuously changed between just one sense and more, all of them, is that expansion and contraction. Occasional waves of distraction came over me, anger located in my sternum.
Great. So when you said, like, is that expansion contraction? So expansion contraction flow is a particular description that Shinzen uses, a particular practice, which there's this, I've found, and I'd love to talk to a teacher who feels otherwise. Expansion contraction flow is one of the hardest things to teach in Shinzen system. I haven't found a good, clear way to teach it yet. Raquel is very good at doing it. I don't know if she's really found like a really clear way to teach it. The clearest way that I can teach it has to do with really noticing forces pushing and pulling. So when you say that you noticed this, my awareness continuously changing between one sense and all of them, more of them or all of them, is that expansion contraction. That is a form of expansion contraction, but awareness sort of expanding and contracting is just one form. Another form of expansion contraction is the body physically tightening or relaxing, or these different forces within us. So that is one form of expansion contraction. So yes, that is various forms of expansion contraction. What you'll start to notice, though, is that as something collapses, like as something gets sort of smaller and sort of contracts, there's like an expansion that goes along with it. It's this sort of pushing and pulling, ebbing and flowing in that very delightful way. Julia says, it also seems to pass very quickly for me. The meditation itself. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is I think when we're concentrated, it's funny, if we're totally unconscious, it can pass very quickly, and if we're very concentrated, it can also pass very quickly. I have had times, though, that I've noticed that I'll be highly, highly concentrated, and time will slow down unbelievably, which is funny because it ends up meaning that you get like a lot more meditation. Usually this happens like on retreat. You get a lot more meditation in because now time is slowed down unbelievably. Weirdly, when time slowed down sort of the most for me, or like very much for me, I had this weird uncanny ability to actually track clock time. And I remember I was like a 45-minute sit, and I was like, I was the sit leader in this particular retreat. It was a Shinzen retreat, and I was like, just time felt like it was like going incredibly slowly, just like unbelievably, and I could just really, really tied into all the detail of my senses. And I was like, okay, there's 60 seconds left in the sit, having not looked at the clock in this entire time. And I was just like, yep, 60 seconds. It was just so weird. It's just my brain could easily track time, but it felt like time was totally distorted. It was very strange. At Awake says, very peaceful, soft well-being emanating from within the trunk of the body. Lovely times, good times, fun for all. I'm curious, I think it was it Zen Mind who's asked if we could do a multi-dimensional awareness practice. Well, we're observing various facets of if that's what you mean by dimensions, various facets of our experience. And hopefully that was delightful, exciting, fun, interesting, and full of all sorts of exploration opportunities. Folks, what else? What else is going on? What is happening? Let's see here. This is very broken, this camera, I think. Okay, so we're going to forget that other camera. What else? Question mark. What else for folks? What else is going on? Any other questions or opportunities, interests, anything else you want to chat about before we call it a day for the year? Oh my God, 2020. It's going to be over. Sela's here again. I wish Sela was better at letting me hold her up for the camera. I think maybe if I hold her this way, she's often chilled out when I do this. Here we go. Let's see if this will do it. Put her on my shoulder, she can chill out a little bit. Veritable Vagabond says, Brian says, I stood during the meditation, excellent, great practice, and felt like I had less distraction and not getting drowsy. Excellent. So this is a great point, that every posture position that we do has different effects, and will have different effects depending on the day and depending on different aspects. Standing will have specific effects, and I'll go over those. Lying down will have different effects, and I know this. Who was it? Nick said he was going to be lying down. So we want to think about a lot of our practice as being a combination or a balance between wakefulness and restfulness. If we're feeling overly wakeful, then it can be very helpful to lie down because we're just agitated and the mind is very busy. So actually physically lying down and letting go physically more, we can balance the two out. If we're feeling overly sleepy or drowsy, standing can be incredibly useful because it will, it's more wakeful, and so it'll bring more alertness, and the body's constantly balancing and we don't want to fall over. So the system just naturally on its own give us little touches of adrenaline to keep us awake. So meditating standing is an excellent skill. And meditating walking is another one. There's a lot of energy in walking, so we can notice a lot of detail. We can, if you walk more slowly, it's a little bit more restful. If you walk more quickly, it's more energized. So each of these different postures has different specific effects, and we want to think of all of our meditation like that. Each thing that we do has different effects. If we, open our awareness very wide and in a wide and roomy way, we have certain effects. If we zoom into little tiny things, we have certain effects, and each of these things is going to have different effects. And it's good to know what the spectrum of effects are. Veritable Vagabond says, "Can you comment on quote everything being mind?" Yes, I can. Collapsing the illusion of space. Meditation on the mind. Sorry. Everything being mind, collapsing the illusion of space, meditation on the mind. Okay, so the example that I'll give comes from a psychedelic journey, a therapeutic psychedelic journey that I participated in. It was actually the most recent one. It was just sort of very obvious in this last one, which also, P.S., I'm doing another one in about a week. Not a week. 2 weeks. So I'll talk more about the psychedelic journey process as we move into that. And so the point of it all is that everything being mind. So there was a point during the really, really intense part of this particular psychedelic journey, which I've had similar things in meditation, but it just sort of stood out this last time. And everything was sort of churning in this kaleidoscopic sort of arrangement of different sense data. That's something else I've talked about, but that all of our experiences are just sense data rearranged. It's just more sense data sort of rotating, moving around. So in this particular journey, in this certain section of the journey, it was like this tumbler of my senses, just like falling on top of each other, and there was this, sense of, am I doing a journey right now? Is this how it's always been? Is it just, this is how it is? It's just this sort of turbulent thing. And I thought about Raquel, and I thought about is there any difference between Raquel and myself? Is Raquel just an idea? Did I just make that up? Raquel's my wife. Did I make that up? Is all of this made up? Is the sense of world and the narrative of myself and all these, is all this made up? Which part of this is real? And what that was showing, what that was sort of illustrating in a very direct way, was that each of our individual experiences of the world is solely filtered through our own mind, and solely it's all relative in relationship to our own experiences. So for instance, if I think about it with a puppy, if there's a puppy or a dog who's been highly traumatized, it's going to experience every sound and every action and somebody reaching for it to pet it as threatening or dangerous. So it's experiencing the same sense data, but because of its own history and its background, it's experiencing that as very dangerous. We do the same thing with trauma, but also just generally. And our world is very, very much through the lens of our system. And this can seem very sort of isolating or alienating in some way, but the fact is that the system is very much dependent on other systems. This is how we, navigate reality. So when we say everything is mind, it's important to know that what we're saying is that everything is filtered through the mind. Everything is shaped by the mind. It is not inherently the way it is. It is shaped and formed by the way the mind is observing it at any given point. We talked about this before, with the mind tending to make objects out of things. So if we look at something, we say, oh, well, that's obviously an object. That is what it is. But when we can no longer see it, right, you can't see that thing anymore. I could say, well, that was just video graphics. You didn't see anything, and I didn't touch anything with my hands, and so where does that object exist? Well, it's now an object in the mind. And the mind holds all these objects and manages all these objects, and there's me, and there's you, and there's all these things, and the mind is fighting to grip and hold all these things. And that's a lot of what our experience of the world is navigating these various mind objects. That said, I will not go as far as I have a friend who is a wacky guy, and he goes as far as to say that actually we're fully creating the world. And in fact, he would say to me, which I always thought was I thought was a little bit rude. He would say, well, you don't exist. You're just a figment of my imagination. And I was like, cool. I think I'm going to go hang out with somebody else. So the point is that I'm not going to go as far as to say that we're creating our version of the world. That is not to say that there is no such thing as matter, or that we are just brains in a jar. Now, we could be, but it's not really it's not really valuable to me to like worry about whether that's true and then stay with that and hang out with that all the time. That's the matrix interpretation of these things. So that's my comment on that. But the degree to which the mind actually shapes our experience of the world is dramatically more than we think that it is. We think we're just seeing the world, experiencing the world as it is, and actually we're shaping the world really intensely a lot of the time. So let's jump in here. Jean now says unrelated.
Unrelated to today, but I have been thinking about what Johnny now said recently, or what you taught him, and us. His mother said everything was fine during what was probably a difficult period when he was young. Since then it has become pretty obvious to me that my mother was similar. If we didn't acknowledge that there was a problem, then there was no problem in her mind. But everyone has problems, and the trick is to figure out how to deal with them. I think meditation is a good way.
Yeah. And meditation is also a good way to face reality, which is a really important part of being a human being. Is like, okay, this is the actual shape of my experience. This is the shape of what's happening internally. This is how that is affecting what's happening externally. Knowing that sometimes we should trust what's happening internally, and knowing sometimes what's happening internally is wildly distorting our external experience. Knowing our tendencies and our habits and starting to try to navigate around those. That's exactly right. And then not necessarily assuming that what the mind tells us is true. This is something that I noticed, early on in my meditation experience. I remember, you've heard me say this before, at some point my mind is like grumbling or sort of tough muttering, as the mind tends to do. And then it says, you should have went to college. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, like I did go to college. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, what a weird thing for the mind to say. And it was just this recognition that the mind is saying something, and it wasn't even related to reality. And since then I've come to realize that just like a dream, the mind will say and show us all sorts of weird stuff that isn't relevant, or isn't like actionable, or doesn't need to be followed or paid attention to, and it still does it. And so it's worth just noting, okay, the mind is doing this thing, and that's it. Okay, so FYI, Netflix is releasing a show about meditation on Friday, 1/1. Let's hope that it does for meditation what the Queen's Gambit did for chess. Yeah, let's hope. Honestly, they really, really get it wrong. Like most of the time, they really fail with meditation. It is like, it does not do what I want it to. So we'll see. I'd love to find out about it. I'm excited to hear what this show about meditation entails. All right, folks. Adawake says, Happy New Year and best wishes to all for 2021. Guys, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's 2021. It sounds like a year from a comic book. I think all the Spider-Man stuff took place in 2099, or all the future pieces. So very exciting, folks, as always. Let me check something real quick before we hit the eject button here. Before we go, I want to check and see if our whoa. Sawi. Hey. I didn't ask for that. That epic thing. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So, folks, I was thinking about raiding someone, but there's no one I want to raid. Exalted says, the you should go to college thing. Do you know if it was actually saying it to you, or was it just the memory of a line you heard in a movie or something? It was 100% saying it to me. 100%. There was no, it was like, because the mind is often just like very bossy, like the tough mutter of the mind I've talked about before is like this. It's like I've heard people describe it as like K-fucked FM, like nonstop commercial free. The mind just like, telephone bill, stupid person, subway, why doesn't it, like the mind is just doing that all the time. And what it's doing is, in a sense, like there's some sort of emotional turbulence, and the mind is sort of like narrating that almost emotionally, like, but every once in a while it turns into words. And a very good thing to observe is, in New York you get to see people who are very mentally unstable sometimes on the subway talking. And honestly, though, people get very like, oh, that's not like me. But if you listen to folks talking on the subway a lot of time who just keep talking, their talking sounds so much like a normal human's interior monologue. It is just like, why did that? That's stupid. Wait a minute. Why is it? It's just like mumbling, talking, forming into something, deforming, these kind of things. They're just vocalizing often what's happening internally. So it is very strange. It is very strange, but the mind does that all the time. If we actually listen to what the mind is saying, it says weird stuff like that all the time. So folks, here's what I have a wish, and this is our final wish of the year. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Folks, I have a wish for you that in this particular moment, right here, right now, to take in these last moments of this very weird year. Years of themselves are concepts that we put on top of things, but they can be very useful, especially when we need a good hard reset. Very exciting that we're processing forward in time, that we're growing. This is going to be a time that we look back on and say, well, that was a crazy time. Remember that? I'm very excited to share those moments with you. Folks, it's been such a lovely time here. We've been doing the stream for more than a year, I'm certain, since I think summer 2019. So it's been so great to spend this year with you, and we've got to meditate, we've got to practice, we've got to have guests on, we've got to hear your voices on, coming in through Zoom and through Discord, hear about what's going on for you. And I just want to send my deepest thanks, because this is my favorite thing in the world to do, is to hang out, talk about meditation, hang out with the doggo, force her to be on camera even when she doesn't want to be, and have a good time, folks. This is such a nice opportunity for us to be able to hang out and do stuff and have a nice time. So we're very excited for 2021. We have lots of fun ideas of things we can do, all sorts of stuff. And P.S. I'm starting a level 3 improv comedy thing. So I'll be telling folks about that soon. If you want to see me make a fool of myself, that's coming up soon. We're going to do a live show, and that'll be fun right here on Twitch. And Sela says, thank you so much. This is Sela's first New Year's as not like a zygote, or I forget. This is her first New Year's, I think. It's so lovely to be here with you guys, with Sela, to have a good time, hang out together. This little cutie. Hi, cutie. And lovely, as always, to be here with you. So, folks, here's my wish for you right here, right now, in this particular moment, to look around your environment, take it in, take it all in. Enjoy the present moment experience of existing, because tell you what, folks, this does not last forever, at least as far as I know. So take in that weird, distorted way that the mind experiences the world, and enjoy that. Explore the density and softness of an awareness that connects and interacts with our world. All the textures and sounds and sights, layers of different experiences coming together to create this illusion of a continuous body-mind that we will carry with us into a new imaginary year. Folks, it's always lovely to practice with you. Very excited to be here. We'll be back here on Friday for a very new year. Very excited. As always, practice well. Take care of each other. Have fun. And we'll see you very, very soon.